Christ, then they fall.
So
Yeah, I think what you said about when other people put you on a pedestal, that the fall from that is so much worse. But I think that the issue with that is then that happens when people are looking at another person instead of to Christ. And I think that when somebody is put on a pedestal or somebody is placed in high regard, that doesn't mean you can't look up to people or have leaders or have guidance. But as soon as they become the deciding factor in what you do or who you're becoming, and that you look to them first before Christ, then they fall. And now you don't have a link to Christ. And now you don't have a connection to him. And so I think that's where a huge disconnect comes from, where we look at people or pastors or leaders or whatever, and not that, and those things are so important, but when those people aren't pointing us back to Christ, and if those people aren't pointing us back to Christ, then it stops at them. And then when they mess up, our view of Christ is now changed. And it shouldn't be, because that's not we're human. People are going to mess up. And if you don't go to Christ in everything, and if you're not going to God and you don't have that direct contact with God, then if that person falls, then it affects your relationship. And I think that's where a lot of that disconnect comes from.
And you realize people will always let you down. And it's not that you need to hold that against them, but it's just that you need to have a firm foundation in something else, something that's not a sinner, because we are all sinners. So we're always going to let each other down. But now that I have Christ to fall back on, I feel like I am so much more stable as a person, rather than being so emotional and worried all the time and anxious. But having a relationship with Christ gives you something firm when you do fall, you know?
versus it trying to put all those expectations on a person that's just as imperfect as the rest of us. And so resting assured in that relationship with Christ.
Yeah. I think sometimes people can get caught up in having those relationships and just thinking like, you know, if I'm talking about this with my friends, that's enough. But at the end of the day, like on Judgment Day, it's just you.